In the shower, fluent. In the car, fluent. In an actual conversation, it's gone. And the painful part, you're not a beginner. You have built a whole life in your language. You are educated, experienced, and capable. But in English, you disappear. And I don't mean you struggle a little. I mean you are mid-sentence, mid-thought, exactly what you want to say, and then nothing. Your mind just stops. The word was there a second ago. You practiced it, you know it, and the moment you needed it most, your brain just shuts the door. That is not a problem with your brain. It is not a lack of effort. That is a biological event happening inside your head. And once you understand it, you have the power to change everything. My name is Maxine, and I am a professional English teacher with a background in psychology and neuroscience of language learning. And for 15 years, I have seen my students from all around the world, all different kinds of learners, experience this blank mind and the feeling of forgetting, and I see how frustrating it is for them. And I've had that experience too, speaking my second language, Spanish. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what is happening, because once you understand it, the next time it happens, and it may still happen again, you will have something that most English learners never get, a strategy to overcome what can create this anxiety-cognition loop. And what I'll share is something that isn't just comforting, it's also a neuroscience-informed, high-impact, research-based strategy that will help you overcome this problem. This video is backed by peer-reviewed neuroscience research, and we are going to look inside the brain, your brain as an English learner, to understand the exact biological mechanisms that cause the freeze. And once you understand this, your thinking about yourself, this moment, and your English is going to change. What you just experienced has a name. Researchers call it foreign language anxiety, or FLA. Foreign language anxiety ranks as one of the top-tier factors affecting how well you perform in English, standing shoulder to shoulder with your basic linguistic abilities. In other words, two people with the exact same vocabulary, the exact same grammar knowledge, the exact same hours of study, the one with lower anxiety will be better at speaking. Not because they know more, but because their brain has more room to work. Think about this. You can probably recite words perfectly when you're relaxed. At home, in the shower, practicing alone. But in a real conversation, under pressure, those words disappear. Your knowledge did not change. Your anxiety did. And the research says those two things for language learners carry equal weight. Think about that for a second. Your anxiety is as powerful as your actual language skills. That means managing your anxiety is not just a nice idea, it's literally half the work of becoming fluent. But here is something the research reveals that most people never consider. Not all your language anxiety comes from the moment itself. That interview, the appointment, the conversation. Some of it was already there, running in the background of your mind before you even opened your mouth. Researchers call these implicit beliefs. They're assumptions about language learning that you absorbed from your environment without consciously choosing them. And one of the most damaging is this. It's the belief that language ability is a fixed talent. In other words, that some people are born good at learning and speaking other languages and some people are not. Research shows if part of you believes that, and many people do, then every mistake you make in English becomes evidence. Evidence that you're not one of the talented ones. That belief is not true. It's a program running in the background of your mind, and it was there before you even tried to speak. There's also a second hidden layer, culture. Speaking English is not only a linguistic act, it's a cultural one. And navigating an unfamiliar culture, its social rules, its humor, its unspoken expectations, creates a specific kind of stress that can operate just below our conscious awareness. You are not just translating words. You're translating yourself. And that is genuinely hard to do in a new culture and language. So, some of your anxiety has a hidden source as a result of your beliefs that you absorbed from growing up, from sociocultural barriers that existed that you never asked to be part of. However, once you see them, they begin to lose their power. But here is where most English teachers stop. They say, just relax, practice more. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. And while that advice is kind, it completely misses the point of what is actually happening inside your brain. So let's go a little deeper. Most people think of anxiety as an emotional reaction. It's like a storm cloud that follows you around. And yes, it feels emotional, but neuroscience has discovered anxiety in language learning is a structural cognitive barrier. It does not just make you feel nervous, it physically competes for space inside your brain. The same exact space that you need to speak English. Emotion and cognition are not separate tracks running in parallel. They share the exact same workspace. So a failure in one guarantees a failure in the other. This is not a metaphor, this is brain biology. To understand the freeze, you need to understand working memory. Think of working memory as your brain's desk, right? It's the place where all your live thinking happens. Research tells us that this desk, working memory, has a strict capacity limit. It can hold maybe 7 items total and has the ability to actively process 3 or 4 at a time. Now, think about what it takes to speak English. Your brain simultaneously has to choose vocabulary, build grammar, monitor pronunciation, listen to the other person, form your next thought, and then try to respond. Most of the space in your working memory desk is already taken up. But when you're anxious, your brain now has a second job. It must also process that emotional distress, the worry, the fear, all that self-criticism running in loop in that same finite cognitive space that you use to process language. So your cognitive capacity gets physically divided between speaking English and managing that anxiety. The result? Your desk runs out of space. And when the desk runs out of space, the blank mind freeze is not you forgetting your English. It's a system crash. Speaking a second language already places a much higher cognitive task on your brain than speaking your native language. English requires more processing power than your mother tongue, always. So the sequence goes like this. Step 1, you're already running near capacity just by speaking English. Step 2, anxiety enters and demands more of that space. Step 3, your total cognitive load exceeds what your working memory can handle. System crash. Your mind goes blank. Your words disappear. This is not a weakness. This is not a lack of effort. This is basic brain science. You are running too many programs on a computer with limited RAM. Of course it crashed. So the next time your mind goes blank, I want you to hold on to this. Your brain isn't failing. Your brain is doing something really difficult, and it hit its limit. That is not a character flaw. That does not say anything about your intelligence or even your capacity to learn English. Do you know what that moment does show, though? Effort. Real, measurable, biological effort. We are going to come back to this at the end of the video, and I'm going to give you something that I know, based on research, can help you. But first, there's one more little, pretty big piece of the puzzle that I have to share with you, because it is something that you have definitely experienced. When you speak English, your brain doesn't switch off your first language. Both languages are active at the same time. And your brain has to do something what neuroscientists call interference inhibition, which means actively suppressing your first language so that English can come through. This suppression is managed by a specific region in your brain, and these regions are your language command centers. They allow your brain to juggle both languages and to keep the right one active at the right time. Here's the critical finding. Anxiety physically disrupts these executive control regions. When you are anxious, your brain loses its ability to suppress your first language. Your first language keeps breaking through, so your English production gets blocked. And the harder you try to push through, the worse it gets. That word you forgot that was just on the tip of your tongue, that was your executive control system failing under anxiety. Your brain had the word, and then anxiety cut the cord. Now that you understand the mechanics, let me show you why this problem gets worse over time if it's not addressed. It's called the Anxiety-Cognition Loop. And once you see it, you will recognize it immediately in your own experience. Step 1, anxiety trigger. Maybe you're called on in class, or a native speaker is talking too fast and you can't understand, or you're in a high-pressure situation. Anxiety spikes. Step 2, your working memory is immediately depleted. That finite RAM we talked about, anxiety consumes it. The cognitive resources that you had to speak English start to drain. Step 3, your executive control center, those frontal regions responsible for suppressing your first language, loses functional connectivity. So your ability to control which language comes through goes away. Step 4, poor oral performance. You stumble, you say the wrong word, or worse, you say nothing at all. Step 5, And this is the most dangerous step. Failure creates more fear. You experience something humiliating, so your brain sees it as evidence that English is dangerous, that speaking is threatening. So the next time a similar situation arises, your anxiety will trigger even earlier and even stronger. This is why some people who have been studying English for years freeze up in real conversations. It's not because they haven't practiced enough. It's because no one ever taught them how to break that loop. Today, we're going to break that loop. Earlier, I told you I would give you a strategy to use the next time your mind goes blank. Today, I shared with you the first part of the process, which is understanding what's actually happening in your brain. Now, we're going to begin to apply something called neuro-linguistic programming as part of a long-term process to reshape the way that you think about your multilingualism. Thinking differently changes how you feel about yourself and these moments, which then impacts your actions and the choices that you make in the future. Altogether, this is the beginning of making sure to create a change or a strategy so that instead of shrinking away from these moments, you will keep speaking and practicing English in order to work towards your goals. We will use a research-backed framework called a reframe, which means actively changing the way we look at this moment, because how we see ourselves and our experiences as learners has an enormous impact on the results. Get out a pen and paper and write them down. Okay, next time this happens, immediately tell yourself, my brain is working, not failing, working. My brain is doing something hard. That is not a weakness. That is strength. This is what learning feels like from the inside. Write those down. Put them somewhere you can see them, because they are not just affirmations I'm saying to make you feel better. They are descriptions of what your brain is actually doing. And reframing your thinking to match factual information will not only support you in that moment, but it'll also keep you from quitting English based on this uncomfortable experience. And now you understand from a cognitive and neurological basis exactly why it's true. Language anxiety is the #1 reason English learners stop trying. But today, you learned something that most English teachers never teach. This is a normal, solvable brain problem, not a personal failure. Okay, if this video helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe. I like to talk about neuroscience-based English learning in order to help you with what actually works for you to learn a language. Comment below, which of those reframes are you going to use? All right, until next time, be patient with your language learning brain. It is working harder than you know.